Hey guys, 7th here. I thought I'd delve a little bit deeper into the PSN library today. So today we're looking at Shatter. Shatter is one of the older titles on PSN, and as you can see just from these first screens, it's sort of a mishmash of just a little bit of Yar's Revenge on the 2600 meets something like an Arkanoid style action puzzle game. So basically you have this ball, and you bounce the ball back and forth across the screen to destroy various different obstacles. And as you can see here, you have 1-ups and different kind of power-ups that you can acquire, which we'll get into in a second here. The little blocks that you see that have nuclear symbols on them, if you hit one of those, it causes a large explosion. You have these fragments that you pick up, as you can see these floating around. Those add to your power meter, and when your power meter gets to its maximum, then you can set off a super attack that'll blow up anything that you aim it at, essentially. You also have different attacks that you can do based on the type of ball you're using. So there are power-ups that'll change what kind of ball you're using on the screen, and as you can see, of course, here it'll switch to various different layouts. You have horizontal, you have vertical, you have spherical base, which you'll see in a few minutes here, and there's big score multipliers. And one of the more interesting things about the game is there's boss fights. Now you see those little waves coming off. That's one of the things that really sets this game apart from your standard Arkanoid style gameplay. And that's, you have this sort of force field where you can actually steer where the ball goes. And yes, I know I've already missed a couple of digital shout-outs, but it's kind of hard to talk and watch at the same time because I'm Southern and I'm simple, so fuck you. But anyway, you can steer where the ball goes, and as you can see, there's an example of the different power-ups. That's the unstoppable ball, which basically goes through anything. It doesn't bounce, it just piles right through whatever comes at you. And here's one of the first boss fights. Of course, the white circle is what you're supposed to be aiming at to do the most damage. You can also... Oh, here's one special attack coming. Here it comes. Right here. Here we go. This is what the special attack looks like when you set it off right here. As you can see, it does a real large amount of damage. That's how I took him out. And then after every boss fight, you have a little bonus level, which I was real rusty when I played this, so I suck at it. I missed one of the 3 right off the bat. The object of this is to keep these 3 things bouncing and not hit behind you as long as possible. The longer you keep them in play, the bigger the bonus score is. Now, one of the things I really love about this game is the music. And, it's not really my style per se. I mean, it has this real Daft Punk sound to it. I don't want to say Dust Brothers, but more of a Daft Punk kind of sound. It sounds like something that you would hear in Tron Legacy, which, of course, they did the soundtrack for. And that's not really my style of music, but I really do dig it. I think of all the games that have come out for PSN exclusively, this is one of the best soundtracks of all of them. And it's one of those kind of games where you enjoy just listening to it even as much as just playing the game. Now, this is one of the spherical levels, and it adds a whole different type of strategy to it because it can really get challenging to try to aim the ball where you need it to go. Let's see what we got coming up next here. And you see these triangles here. Oh, digital shout out. You see these triangles, you hit them and it launches them, and they blow up and explode, and sometimes, depending on which one you hit, as you can see, they'll fly into absolutely nothing, so you have to be sure that you hit them at just the right angle, or they're just going to spin out of control and possibly even come back around and hit you and do damage. So you do have to watch what you're doing with those. But it does add another level of gameplay to it, so I'm not going to complain too loudly about that. This was one of the first games that came out on PSN that just really opened my eyes to the potential of the platform. Digital shout out. I really got a kick out of the gameplay and everything, and it's the first game that really got me into trying out demos for the stuff on PSN. Make Up Your Mind, Storm. I mean, prior to this game, you had stuff like Calling All Cars, which didn't exactly set the world on fire. So I'd been pretty much ignoring PSN and what it had to offer up until this game came out. So I'd give this one a lot of respect because there's just nothing really else quite like it out there. I mean, the closest thing I'd say to this as far as the style and the look of it and the feel of it, which of course totally different gameplay, but Galaga DX, which I actually mentioned this game in its review. There's a lot of gameplay for your money for this one. I think you can pick it up for $7.99 now, and it's well worth it. And the single player campaign, once you get good at it, it's probably just a few hours or less. I mean, I think I went through this particular one from beginning to end in about an hour because I've gotten fairly decent at the game and I know how all the bosses work and whatnot. But there's also a lot of different gameplay modes. One of the more challenging ones is a boss-only mode where you have to go through all the boss fights within a certain amount of time. And of course there's different difficulty levels and what have you. And overall, I'd have to say this is probably one of the best games that you can get on PSN for the money that you put into it. And I paid the full price for it when it first came out because I didn't have PSN Plus when this came out, and I just adore this game. I mean, this is one of those games. I mean, I've had this for probably 2 years now, something like that, and I will still go back to this game because there's still a few trophies that I haven't picked up. I think I'm at about 65-70%, something like that on this game. And so even to this day, I will still go back to this one trying to pick up those last few achievements, those last few trophies. And I think this one was actually started out as a PC title, if I remember reading about it a while back, or maybe it was a simultaneous release. I'm fairly sure you can get this one on PC. Don't believe it ever made it over to the 360. So am I saying that this is a game that for you 360 players out there that would make it the PS3 a worthy purchase? Well, I think that kind of investment would need more than this game, but if you do decide to go multi-console and pick up a PS3, as soon as you get on the PSN, this should be one of the first games that you buy. Now, this right here that you're getting into now, this is, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, because I actually recorded this footage a while back and I've been sitting on it just waiting for, whenever I felt like using it. This, I believe, is the last boss. Some of these bosses fights, it's not just, hitting the ball at the target. There are some bosses where you really have to use that force field to expose their weak spots so you can hit the ball. So you're not only trying to manipulate things on the boss, like moving their shields around to expose given areas that you can attack, but you're having to steer the ball at the same time, which of course if you use the shield to pull if you use the force field to pull something towards you, that also pulls the ball towards you. So there's a lot of strategy and a lot of good hand-eye coordination that you really have to be able to pull off some of these boss fights. And don't even, that's not even getting into the whole boss challenge mode, because there are some of these bosses that, because of having to be able to manipulate the ball and the boss's shield at the same time, can take a good amount of time. So you really have to know each fight by heart to shave that time down to where you can beat that challenge, which I will admit I have not done yet. But at any rate, this is a fantastic game for PSN. Fun, addictive gameplay, fantastic graphics, amazing music. Only downside, I wish the single-player campaign had been just a little bit longer. Just a little bit. So, final score, guys, I'm going to have to say 6.5 out of 7. Almost perfect title. So if you don't have it, you got $8, go get it. If you're thinking about getting a PS3, as soon as you do, head on PSN and pick this one up. I got some other stuff coming, guys. Sorry I haven't been around. I'll explain that on my next cam vid, which will come in a few days. You guys have a good night. This is 7th.